Hey there, it's Heather Smith. Hope you had an amazing weekend. I'm the creator of barrelracingtips.com, as many of you know, and lately I've been coming to you with the behind the scenes action as I've been getting my barrel horse pistol back in shape. So it's been a blast taking you behind the scenes. To start out this morning, I would love for you to report in and let me know how your weekend went. Tell me a win from the weekend. And a win consists of, we can have a win regardless of whether we competed or not or how our results were, because even if we learn something, that is still a win. So I would love to hear all about it in the comments. So I just finished with a somewhat intense workout with pistol. There is zero breeze here this morning. It is probably over 90 degrees already. And anyway, but I am just floating on cloud 9 because we set up the actual barrel pattern this morning, and Pistol did really well. He's feeling really good, and gosh, the program, the way I've been taking him along so far, I realized today is just like paying off in a huge way already. And so I'll tell you a little bit about what felt so amazing, and what I think is responsible for why he's doing so well at this point. So I'm just trying to set up and get you kind of an interesting background without having to stare into the sun too much. So I really want to, there's so much, I'm kind of a little bit scatterbrained because there is so much that I could share from just today's ride that came up for me that I think would be valuable to you. And so I've been, all these things have been darting through my mind, and I'm like, focus, focus, focus. And then maybe I can share some of what I thought of today and then some of the rest of it throughout the week. Now, we actually have one of our, we're going to go an exhibition at a barrel race Wednesday evening, and then I have scheduled a couple other barrel races to go to an exhibition just to get him back in the swing of things after having such a long break. And then our first big competition back is September 1st. So we have a lot of ground to cover between now and then, being that I just set up the pattern today, but I think timing wise we're really in a pretty good spot. And so one of the reasons he felt so great today is that he was just so light in my hands, and he was so willing. He just felt to move off my legs and respond to me. He really just felt like a hovercraft. And that's what I describe it when our horse is like really engaged and collected and responsive to us. It's like they're just sort of elevated in air, and they're just balanced, and they're basically ready. Their bodies are ready, and their minds, to go anywhere, anytime, in any direction, just like that. And that's really the quality that we need in competition on the barrel pattern too. And so he really just felt super light in my hands. And so here's the thing, I'm starting to transition. I put the reins on that I'm going to be using like in competition, so I can get back to used to the feel of using those. And then I put a different bit on, again transitioning closer to what I'm going to actually use for competition. And anyway, up to this point I had just been riding him. I decided to just ride him in a snaffle as a way to just keep us both like really honest, and just take the opportunity, since I'm not under a huge amount of pressure and we're kind of taking a relaxed, sort of light way of going about this, to get him in shape for competition. So it was just a good opportunity to do some experimenting and to just take our time and just to really get him as light and soft as possible, which really, gosh, there isn't not a good time for that almost, right? But anyway, I really think that because I had done that, that was one of the reasons, like, he feels so absolutely light when I go up to a bit with a curb strap and something that has a leverage action to it. And so anyway, it was just, he just felt amazing. And the other thing is that I've really been working on the quality of his circles, but I have not applied that or asked him, or I have not been putting him in a learning sort of environment on the pattern itself. So today was the first day I set up the actual pattern, and he felt amazing. So I'd been working on our circles in just an exercise I set up where there's 3 barrels in a row. and I'd been really working on his circles. And that was really like our training ground. And now we're transitioning and putting it on the barrel pattern. And he's like, I get it. I can do this. And when I amped it up and we loped a little bit, there were a couple moments where he kind of wanted to get a little bit flat and lean in, which is not totally out of the ordinary. It's normal for them to kind of default back once you amp up his speed to what they sort of already know and have been taught. And so I would just sort of pick him up, and what I did, and this really varies to what I'm feeling in their body in the moment as far as how I handle it and how I correct it. And so today I just picked him up, like it was like midway around the barrel, I just picked him up and backed him up and kind of backed him in a half circle around the barrel, like with his hip closer to it. You know, so I'm kind of like going in the opposite direction, getting him in the opposite frame in his body with the opposite, shifting his weight from where he was wanting to go. And then he would have his weight rocked back and be square, and then I'd ask him to lope again, and I would make absolutely sure that I was on point with my body, and then he would nail it. He would lope really well. And so, but because he was a little bit challenged at a lope, at a trot, and everything he did, and a walk, of course, he did great. And I mean, he's just not super conditioned yet, you know, either. So I have to give him that benefit of the doubt. But because the lope didn't feel like really great yet, I did not pressure him to actually like do the pattern itself. Like I went through the pattern like a couple times, just at like a slow lope to see what we had. And then instead of schooling him on the pattern, even though the barrels are set up in the pattern, I just went and did like all, I went around a couple times doing like all rights and all lefts. So I like kind of take the pressure off of it being the pattern, but I'm still actually working the barrels. And then I would also make sure that I circled each barrel at least twice, because a lot of times our horses sort of, they anticipate the reach and the spreading out of like leaving the barrel, and so their bodies kind of spread out a little bit too early, and they do that in the turn itself instead of staying gathered. And if they think that they don't know whether they need to circle it once or twice, they're going to be likely to stay more gathered in that first circle. And so if we circle the barrel twice more often than not, it's going to condition our horses to always just choose to just stay gathered in the turn instead of anticipating stretching out and leaving it, and then kind of getting a little disengaged and too spread out in the turn itself. So I could go on and on and on about all the ideas that I have that I could share with you, and the tips and the things that came to mind. But gosh, I would keep you forever. So I'm going to capture those ideas when I get into the house so I don't forget them, and then I will be sharing them with you throughout the rest of the week. But I also have it on my list to share with you specifically like what I outfit him in when I'm hauling, and what that looks like, and the products and the therapies that I use on competition day. And so I plan to share that with you this week also. Even though I'm just going to be going to exhibition in the next couple weeks, I really want to treat those days when I'm going to the barrel race just as if I was competing. And so it's kind of like a dress rehearsal. It's going to I'll be able to make sure that like there's a flow to my schedule, to my the way I go about doing things. I already have that pretty well established. And but it's always great to have a refresher of like what's working and what I need to tweak, or maybe there's something I'm out of in my trailer I need to stock back up on. It's just awesome to have a dry run, so there are absolutely zero surprises when the day comes that you're putting the money up and laying it on the line, that you're like 110% prepared. And so for everything to just go as smooth as possible. So hi Becky, hi AJ, glad to have you guys with me. So, but he did so awesome. And so the benefit of doing all the training and sort of taking the quality of his circles to another level and waiting till now to actually start putting it on the pattern is that any of that correction or that challenge or that difficulty that he had to go through to kind of make these changes, which, you know, it wasn't like especially stressful because I gave enough time for it to do it real gradually. But now that he's like, oh yeah, I've got it, I can do this, and I have prepared him in that way, when we put it to the pattern, it's easy for him and it feels so successful. And so the whole time, like, I'm like just so happy and excited because the whole time we were working the pattern, I was like, good boy, good boy. And I was just petting him. And I mean, I was just like overwhelmed with joy and happiness myself. And you can't tell me that our horses don't feel that. Like, if we want to help our horse like love the barrels, I mean, here you go. This is exactly one of the huge ways of doing it, is preparing them so well in advance that when you actually put everything that you've developed to the pattern, they're like, this is fun and this is easy. And I'm like, yeah, isn't it? I love it. And they're like, yeah, I kind of like it too. And so anyway, it is just a great way to go about it. And there's no better feeling than to go work the pattern and just feel like you nailed it, like it was successful. And your horse is going to feel that too. And I mean, when it comes to competition, I mean, you're not going to be able to beat that. It's just going to be awesome. So I hope that's helpful. And again, I'm going to capture all of the other ideas that are swimming in my head, the things that came to me today. Things are fixing to get really exciting. There are a lot of, our big arena project is about to start going down this week. I don't know if I'm going to actually have a place to ride here at home or not. I'm going to have to be going to other arenas potentially. It's going to get crazy. I've got some other stuff in the works, like that's all sort of coming together all at the same time. And so, we're ramping things up with Pistol in our preparation. And so it's just like lots going on. It's super exciting. And I've got lots to share with you. So stay tuned. I'll be back Wednesday morning at 8:30 and Friday morning at 8:30 as usual for Pistol's Progress. And then tomorrow, as always, Tuesday at 6 Central will be Q&A Tuesday, where you can bring your questions and I'll be happy to help you there. And as always, if you ever want to go further with me, keep in mind the book series at barrelracingtips.com. And also I do offer video coaching if you ever wanted to go really deep. And of course, there's tons and tons of free articles and videos there as well. So you can always find anything that you need at barrelracingtips.com. So it's my intention for you to really move forward with what I shared today, to think about it, but most importantly, to take action on it. And so I hope it's a blessing to you. And until next time, I gotta check. Hi, Cindy. Thank you, AJ. I really appreciate it. Love your comments. So thanks so much for sharing. So I really appreciate you tuning in. And until next time, as always, remember, applied knowledge is power.